After a long delay, I finally got my hands on a copy of the Ducktales Valentine's Day special. It's written by Connor Ratcliffe and James III, with art by Carlo Loro, and the main cover being done by Nicoletta Baldari, and this variant cover being done by Libero Ermetti. And we'll see if this special can keep up the level of quality the DuckTales comics from Dynamite have had so far. We start off in Scrooge's office with Scrooge, Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby. Scrooge ends up discovering a Valentine's Day letter addressed to him. He is skeptical of it, but his nephews and Webby think it might be the real deal. Scrooge puts the Valentine's Day card into his Valentine fraudometer machine, where he then tells Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby about various attempts his people have made to swindle him on Valentine's Day, where we see a quick montage of the Beagle Boys, Flintheart Glomgold, Quackerjack, and Negaduck from Darkwing Duck, and even Huey, Dewey, and Louie trying to pull one over on him. The fraudometer ends up determining that the Valentine's Day card is indeed fraudulent and is most likely part of a plot to rob Scrooge. We then cut to Magic Dispel's secret hideout, where she's concocting a plan to try to steal Scrooge's number one dime, as she has a back and forth conversation with her brother Poe, who is an non-anthropomorphic bird, due to an accident involving magic. We then cut to Scrooge having a walk through town, ends up encountering a flower shop owner. Scrooge initially thinks it's someone in disguise and attempts to remove the disguise, only to realize that he had made a mistake. And just when he's off his guard, he ends up encountering Magica Dispel, who then uses her magic to attack Scrooge with forget-me-do's. But she ends up getting caught in a blast, and Magica and Scrooge are sent flying, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Webby arrive on the scene. Scrooge and Magica wake up back at Magica's secret lair, having lost their memory. Poe laughs at Magica and Scrooge's expense, which then causes Magica to attack him in anger. And because of that, he tells them he knows who they are, but he's not going to tell them, and he leaves. We cut back to Duckburg, where we're at Gyro Gearless's workshop with Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby, as Gyro tries whipping up something that could help. And after digging up some of Gyro's inventions from a closet, and knowing where Scrooge is because he put a tracking device on one of Scrooge's spats, they all climb aboard a rocket ship and blast off. We then cut back to Scrooge and Magica as they try to figure out who they are, as they go through a bunch of Magica stuff. Magica uses her magic to launch Scrooge and her up into the air, and as they're floating outside, Scrooge remembers that her name is Magica Dispel, and she remembers that his name is Scrooge McDuck. We then cut back to Gyro and the kids in his little rocket ship as they're flying through space, and they end up encountering Magica and Scrooge floating through space, and they end up following them back down to Earth. Scrooge and Magica end up going on a date in Paris, where a reporter who's trying to is taking pictures of them. Scrooge and Magica end up discovering more about their backstories, but are still unaware that they're mortal enemies. We then cut back down to Earth as Gyro had crashed his spaceship into Launchpad's backyard. So then Launchpad agrees to fly Huey, Dewey, Louie, Webby, and Gyro to find Scrooge. Launchpad then finds out everything that's going on. We then get a montage of Scrooge and Magica flying all over the world, thwarting other would-be relic hunters as they collect tons of different treasure, and having a series of different adventures before eventually heading back to Magica's secret lair with all their treasure that they had found, where Scrooge ends up handing his number one dime over to Magica. Launchpad bursts through the wall with a helicopter, and Gyro blasts Scrooge and Magica with one of his devices, and then all of Magica and Scrooge's memories come back in a flurry. Just as Scrooge and Magica are going to have a showdown over the dime, Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby end up making a ladder hanging out of the helicopter and grab Scrooge, and they fly off. Scrooge wants to go back to get his dime, but they tell him that they can get another time. And as Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Webby are trying to come up with ideas Scrooge's dime back, he reveals that there's no need because he has it. And then we get a little flashback to reveal that when Magic had been blasting magic at them as they were escaping, she had actually secretly thrown his dime back. Even though they are bitter enemies, Magica did enjoy the time that she spent with Scrooge. And it is Valentine's Day after all. And that's how the comic ends, as we see Magica watching them fly off, large Scrooge and Magica heads formed in the clouds. Now for my thoughts. I thoroughly enjoyed the comic. The artwork is great throughout. It's pretty fun. The characterizations stay consistent throughout. And we get a classic Ducktales style ending. And while the story is similar to some episodes from the original series, it's different enough that it doesn't feel like a complete copy. As well as also, I did notice that for this special, the art isn't as stylized as the main series, and it's a bit closer in style to the original DuckTales TV show. My only real knock is something that's been a constant through most of these Dynamite DuckTales run, in that the characters don't use their character-specific ways of talking, where it's more generic dialogue that anyone could say. But with that, overall, I did enjoy this special, and I did enjoy the DuckTales Dynamite comic run in general. It's been a while without any word of any more issues, so if this is the end of the series, I would say it's definitely worthwhile. And I would recommend that you pick it up either as single issues or the trade paperback that'll probably be coming out in the next couple months. Till next time, see ya.